In a forgotten little town in Transylvania, where autumn intertwined with the mist of the Carpathian Mountains, Halloween was not just an imported holiday, but a night as old as blood itself, full of whispers from the dead. That year, 2025, the Ionescu family had moved into the Clock House, a 19th century building with windows like empty eyes and an attic full of shadows that seemed to breathe. The father, Mihai, a skeptical engineer, had come here for a new job at the factory in the valley. The mother, Anna, a gentle teacher, tried to ignore the creaking floorboards. And their boy, Luca, only 10 years old, with green eyes and reckless curiosity, was the most excited. "It's Halloween! I'm going to dress up as a vampire!" he shouted, forgetting that in their village, the mask was not just play, it was a gateway. The Clock House had a history that the real estate agency had carefully hidden. It was said that in 1897, a strange craftsman named Ion Voda had been killed by the villagers on the eve of Samhain, the ancient Celtic Halloween brought by the winds from the west. He had crafted masks from animal hides and human bones, infusing them with wandering souls. Since then, the house groaned at night, and those who wore his masks were never quite the same. The Ionescu family knew none of this, but Luca was about to find out under the orange light of a full moon. The evening of October 31st arrived like a thief in the night. The wind howled through the branches, swirling dead leaves into vortices that seemed like dances of spirits. The village streets were filled with children carrying carved pumpkins and cheap costumes, laughing and begging for treats. Luca, dressed in his father's black cape, flutter, ran through the garden, running footsteps, tossing pumpkin seeds into the air. Seeds scatter. "Trick or treat!" he shouted, but his voice was lost in the wind's roar. Anna called him inside for dinner, but the boy, rebellious like any child, slipped up to the attic, drawn by an old box he'd spotted earlier. The attic smelled of mold and dust, with cobwebs woven like ghostly curtains. The light from Luca's phone lantern danced on the walls, revealing dusty furniture, a broken chest, a rusty sewing machine, and in the corner, a wooden trunk carved with strange symbols, spirals and wolf heads. With trembling hands of excitement, Luca opened it. Inside, piled like forgotten faces, lay the masks. One caught his eye immediately. A cracked leather mask with empty eye holes and a mouth sewn with black thread, shaped into a crooked smile. On the inside, etched with a dull knife, was the name, Joanna, taken by the wind, 1897. Luca picked it up, feeling a strange warmth, breathing heavily, as if the mask were breathing. "It's perfect for my costume," he whispered, and fitted it over his face. The leather straps fit like they were made for him, tightening on their own around his head. Suddenly, the world changed. Through the eye holes, he no longer saw the attic dust, but moving shadows. Spirits, not translucent ghosts from movies, but solid black forms like frozen smoke, with long hands and claw-like nails. They floated in the air, whispering in forgotten tongues. "Give us back the gateway, fresh blood." Luca flinched, yanking off the mask. His heart pounded like a hammer. It's just imagination, he thought. But when he went down to the living room, everything felt wrong. The table was set, but the plates floated on their own, the steam from the food twisting into face shapes. Mihai laughed at the TV, watching an American horror movie, but Anna sat motionless, with empty eyes, whispering, "They're coming. They want the mask." Luca swallowed hard. "Mom, are you okay?" She turned slowly, her usual smile now crooked, like the mask's. "Go to bed, sweetie. Halloween is just beginning." The night deepened. Luca hid under the blankets, the mask under his pillow. But sleep wouldn't come. The house clock struck midnight, a dull gong that vibrated in his bones. Then, footsteps. Light, like falling leaves, but certain. The bedroom door creaked open, and a silhouette entered. Tall, hunched, wearing a mask like the one from the attic, but older, more rotten. "Luca, brother, give us back what you took," whispered a girl's voice, cold as the wind outside. The boy jumped from the bed, lantern in hand. The light fell on her face. It wasn't a mask. It was her skin, drawn, yellow, with white eyes and cracked lips. Ioana, the spirit from 1897, taken by the wind, but now solid, hungry. Luca ran down the hallway, calling for his parents, but the house was empty. Doors slammed shut on their own, windows clogged with living leaves, twisted by an invisible force. Spirits emerged from the walls, men in old hats, women in torn dresses, children with burned faces. All wore pieces of masks sewn into their flesh. "The craftsman bound us. The mask opens the gateway. Fresh blood feeds it," groaned one, extending a skeletal hand. Luca dashed into the kitchen, slamming the door, but the handle melted in his palm, hot as lava. Outside, through the window, he saw the village. Pumpkin lights flickering, but shadows dancing between them. The wind carried laughter, not of children, but of the dead, a chorus howling, "Samhain." Samhain. Luca remembered his grandmother's stories. On Halloween nights, the dead rise not to scare, but to reclaim what was stolen, souls of the living, through gateways opened by forgotten rituals. The mask was the key. He had taken it, and now the house was the gateway. Trembling, the boy pulled it from his pocket. "I'll give it back." "Take it." He threw the mask to the floor, but it didn't fall. It floated, pulsing like a heart, and shattered into shards that multiplied, crawling like worms toward him. Each shard whispered a name: Mihai, Anna, Luca. The spirits gathered, forming a circle, their cold hands touching his skin. "Not the mask. You are the gateway now. Fresh blood. Yours." In desperation, Luca grabbed a knife from the table, the carving one, forgotten from dinner. He plunged it into the floor beside the shards, whispering a prayer learned from his grandmother. "Let the dead sleep, the living live, the wind carry the shadows away." Blood from his cut finger dripped onto the wood, mixing with the dust. A howl echoed, not his, but the spirit's. They dissolved into black smoke, retreating into cracks, leaving behind only the smell of damp earth and wilted flowers. His parents burst in suddenly, dazed as if woken from a dream. "Luca? What happened? We fell asleep like the dead." Anna hugged him, but the boy couldn't speak. The mask was gone, the shards evaporated, but on his chest remained a mark. A sewn smile, invisible, pulsing with every heartbeat. The next day, Halloween was over. The village woke under a pale sun, with costumes discarded on the streets and pumpkins extinguished. The Ionescu family left the house without knowing what Luca had seen. Or perhaps they knew, but stayed silent, like all who pass through the gateway of death and escape with a scratch. The boy never spoke of the night again, but in the mirror sometimes he saw shadows dancing in his eyes. And every October 31st, when the wind blew from the Carpathians, he heard the whisper, "You didn't close the gateway. You only delayed it. Fresh blood. Samhain."